camera even.
Can I turn the recording off and we just turn it on later?
Yeah, you can pause it.
I'll pause it.
Around the world, using all the beautiful cities, okay, and the hair is not supposed to be wonderful trees all over. Yeah, hey, okay, we're gonna try and get started today. Can everybody hear us on Zoom? Yeah? Marissa isn't here in person and we don't see her on Zoom. Uncle Charlie, would you, be willing to chair today's meeting?
Sure.
Oh.
I guess you can tell me when we're ready. Have we got quorum?
We got quorum.
Oh.
And then some.
Okay. Oh, you waiting for anybody or me? Okay, are we expecting any other members to be joining?
Heather's gonna come late. Yeah, Heather will be late. She's coming in from another meeting.
Okay.
Haven't heard from Marissa, so.
And we don't know about Marissa.
We don't know about Marissa or Roslyn.
Okay. All right. Yeah, my apologies. I had planned to be there in person, but I had another meeting and we just ran late. So my apologies. And I wasn't ready to chair. So if I start fumbling around, someone there, I'm thinking Susanna is the first one probably get me back in line. But yeah, so anyway, okay, so we'll be opening the meeting for Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 for the Kona Community Development Plan Action Committee. I usually offer a Olelo no Eal, but I haven't prepared one for today. But I would entertain any other members or non-members or staff if they wanted to offer one. Okay, hearing none. Staff, do you want to go through? The way the operating sort of parameters that you usually do in the beginning, or should we do a roll call first? Roll call probably, huh?
Yeah, you can go ahead with roll call.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll start myself. I'm Charles Young. I reside in Kealia, and I guess I'll be chairing this meeting. I've been on the Action Committee now since the turn of the century, it feels like, but it's been a while. Dave, I see you on the line, so I'm gonna go around, I think, by the people who are visible to me on the on my screen. I think we need your mic on.
Excuse me, sorry, Charles. David Huerta, Action Committee member since 2019, I believe.
Thank you and welcome. Now we have folks in the planning room. I don't see anyone else on the line who are Action Committee members. So we have members in the long range, the planning department room. I can't see everybody there. So would you mind going around the table and introducing yourself? AC members first, and then I'd like to have staff as well as those on the on Zoom. AC members?
Serene Durant, a new committee member.
Gary Jasser, also a new committee member.
Nancy Pisicchio, new committee member. I live in Capel.
I'm John Pelletier, new committee member. I live in Ooma, Palisades.
All right, Marion Palmer, Planning Department staff.
Bethany Morrison, also, planning department staff.
Hi, I'm Janice Haza, Planning Department staff.
Okay. Susanna, you wanna introduce yourself?
Aloha, Deputy Corporation Counsel Susanna Chiapula here for our Action Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And so I see some folks in the back. I think it's Kari, that would be a past member emeritus. We're gonna give titles now to past members who served so long. Kari, you want to introduce yourself? And I don't know if you have other subcommittee members?
Yeah, so Kari Kimura, a recent past AC member, and I can hand it off to Janice. We're in the same graduating class.
Nice.
Hi, everybody, Janice Palmer-Glenny, everything. Long time.
Yeah, my apologies. I can't see everyone who's in the room, so you're gonna have to sort of volunteer yourself to introduce yourself. And I guess we got members of the public there on the end as well.
Jeff Simfer, Environmental Protection Specialist, National Park Service.
Roger Pandon, I live in Kona Shores, I'm the HOA president.
Ken Mantella, resident, Kona Shores Board.
And to Hololoa.
Rod Cordero, Pualani Estates.
Well, thank you for being there in person. I see also on the line, we have Councilmember Holeka Inaba and community member.
Everyone. Good evening.
Thank you, Holeka, for being online. And Kari, I think you're just a citizen, I guess.
Yeah, this is Corey, just listening in. Thank you.
Okay, great. So the first thing I guess we want to do is welcome your new members. Sitting all in a row there. And the key word here is the Action Committee, so I hope you're ready for action. We've been meeting now every other month, I suppose, and sometimes less frequently. So hopefully we can pick up that pace, and we're going to have a discussion about that. So welcome, new members. So I'm doing the announcements now, if it's okay. So the Action Committee is seeking a volunteer secretary to take meeting notes and collaborate with the planning department accordingly. Any interested parties should email. I guess it's the county at hawaiicounty.gov. Is this the first notice of that going out? I know it's on our agenda, but has the county done any preliminary solicitation for a secretary?
I believe this is our first announcement of any sort for the Kona CDP, as far as I'm aware of. Yeah. We've done it before with other ACs, but with you guys, this is the first time.
Okay, great. And so I guess we would want AC members to maybe help as well.
Yeah.
If we know anybody.
Yeah. When I saw the notice, I contacted the planning department. I have a program on my computer called Transcribe, and I offered if they would send me the recorded file of the meetings, I could do a transcription into Word, and then I could summarize it, and I volunteered to do that. So I don't know if they want to take me up on that to try it. I realized I have the program. It's part of Microsoft 365, and I can do three hours of recorded into Word per month for free, is what I found out.
Cool.
So if you want to take me up on that, we can see how it works. I'm willing to do it, but I'm not good at taking minutes like in real time, but I'm willing to try that. And just to speak on it a little bit more, the way, we've been doing it with other ACs is whoever this volunteer is, whether it's an AC member, member of the public, they would kind of draft up these minutes. We share templates of what we're kind of, you know, what to follow, and, send it us our way, and then we'll help format and clean up and have them ready, posted and drafted for the next, meeting, just to give a little.
But in case there's nobody live that wants to do it,
But in
I'm
case-
offering to try, we can experiment with a new way of
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Option. So, yeah.
Great. And all these meetings are taped and put online on your website anyway. Correct?
Charles?
David,
Yes, sorry, Dave.
So Zoom has a transcription program as part of the software. So you don't actually have to export this to anything. So all you have to do is open the captions file, and it will start transcribing everything you say.
Yeah, I think that's the point I was trying to make, is the county automatically does that, don't they, when they hold these meetings? Put the recording on? Am I mistaken?
we will post the recording on YouTube, usually after. Sometimes we do it live, but, yeah.
Right. But we still have to have written minutes.
For Sunshine, we still need to have, written minutes. With the help of having, the minutes posted on YouTube, the minutes, that we post can be a lot more succinct than they needed to be before, but yes, we still need written minutes.
Right. And I guess Corp Counsel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the minutes do not have to be verbatim, but they really do have to count the spirit of the content of the discussion, and they need to be accurate in terms of how we make motions, move, second, and approve.
Yes, and the other change that the other guidance provided was that we also need to indicate who is speaking. And I'll share that when we record it, the people who are not at the table, we can barely hear anything. I can only hear the people who are at the table. The people farther away, we can hear that you are talking, but we don't hear any specifics, which would be a problem for the recording later on, because then it's harder to identify who the speaker is. So it's probably best practice to, if you're going to speak, to identify yourself by name. This is Susanna Tiapula, and then to speak, because that does facilitate much more accurate minutes. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for that clarification. So I guess we'll work towards that if we have we can get a secretary. Yeah, if there's no other discussion, I'll go on to the public comment on agenda items. Has anyone from the public signed up to speak on any of the agenda items?
How's the sheet doing?
Oh, Uncle Charlie, it looks like we skipped over the final announcement, which was the general plan update.
Oh, it's not on my paper, or did I miss it?
Way at the top of
It's
the second
at
page.
the way, yeah, it's the first bullet on the top of the second page.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, my computer decided to print two sides of the paper, so I'm unaccustomed to that. Okay, so I'm sorry, in the announcements. So the general plan update, you're gonna give that to us now?
Yes,
Okay.
Bethany Morrison here.
Aloha, Bethany Morrison, Long Range Planner with the County of Hawaii, and just wanted to give a brief update of where we are on the general plan, comprehensive review and update, and sort of get you folks ready for all of the engagement that is coming soon. We recently had a press release come out that sort of details the various things that we're doing to reach out into the community and make sure that you guys have opportunity to participate in this update. So the first thing is we have hosted a recorded video series on our planning YouTube channel. You can visit that, and I can give you that link. It should already be, I think it's already part of our minutes anyway, because it's what these meetings go to that same YouTube channel. We will also be doing public informational workshops and we have one scheduled for September 30th. It will be here at West Hawaii Civic Center, from 2 to 4. We welcome and hope that you folks can participate in that. We will be conducting roadshow presentations, and this is where community groups can invite us to their already regular meetings that they hold, and we can give presentation and answer questions there. That's a good way for us to get into community while being invited. People tend to come to those meetings more than if the planning department holds the meeting. We will be having informational booths at various planned community events. This last Saturday, we were in Waimea at the Waimea Resilience Fair as an example, where we have a table and hand out information and answer brief questions there. And then finally, we will also have online workshops, which are similar to the public informational workshops. For those that cannot attend in person, there will be a Zoom webinar option there. So for those that don't understand what the general plan is, it is our comprehensive long-range document for our county. It guides infrastructure decisions, it guides land use decisions, and sort of everything we do has to be consistent with that plan. So it's very important, not just because it's a plan I've been working on, but just for the rest of our island, to really guide where we're going to be in the long term.
Legally important.
Very important. So welcome any immediate questions. The draft is going to be released in the next week, and that will also be posted. There will be lots of information coming out about how to access that and where to find that draft, but it's not quite there yet. Otherwise, quick questions. I don't want to take up the whole meeting because this is really just an announcement. But.
So community feedback, is it incorporated into the general plan, or what are you looking for with your engagement?
Yes, so this is a draft coming out to
Okay.
get public input.
Okay.
So it's really geared towards coming out into the community, helping to educate you about what's in the plan so that you can provide feedback.
Okay.
So you said the informational booths, you take brief questions, so it's not really an interactive, are the booths just presentations, or do they have like sticky notes or
The
like?
booths are really, so this is at, if the mall, for example, has some type of a fair there, we just show up with, whatever table or whatever booth they set us at and provide, information about how to get access to the plan, answer questions about upcoming events, but it's really not meant to be engaging.
It's not.
It's
Okay.
just information sharing. So really, those other events, the informational workshop, the roadshow presentations, and the online workshops are really the way to get, into the document and learn.
What is the form or method that you?
We're going to be using a Conveo platform, which is online, where people can go and enter in their comments, and you can also see people's comments that are entered, which is really an open and transparent process. In the past, we collected every method possible, but then we had to manually go and kind of collate those comments, which was very labor intensive. We're really trying to use technology to help us.
So you count up the number of people that, or is it like voting?
There's no voting, no, it's
Okay.
just to get
Just
the feedback.
straight comment.
Exactly. Any other questions from the action committee members?
Yeah, let me ask. Can you put it kind of in a context? Again, I'm only saying this because I came from a city of the same size as Kona, and we had our general plans, and I was lucky enough to be in planning for 20 years on this, and so I got to go through several general plan updates. It was dictated that we had a completed general plan every 10 years. And we could do an amended general plan as needed, but we look at it 5 years to get ready for the 10th year. Where are we with this general plan? Are we behind, or are we ahead of the ball, or what does the,
We are
charter
behind.
say?
We are behind. It is supposed to be comprehensively reviewed every 10 years. And so that we started the review at 10 years. Our current plan is the 2005 general plan. So yes, we are behind in getting that adopted in that cadence. However, the last comprehensive update also took this amount of time. So we are looking at that as part of this comprehensive review, is how often should we be comprehensively updating this document?
So you're
There's various cadences, and there's no statutory requirement for when those updates are completed.
So you said, that the, everything needs to fit into the general plan, which I understand. So is the general plan, since, the CDPs are written but not enforced, like a lot of them aren't even signed, even though they're, guidelines written, well, I'm assuming the general plan is following the CDPs more than vice versa, is that?
Correct. So the 2005 general plan called for the creation of community development plans. And then after that, 2005, that's when we began this process to create these plans for the communities. So Kona, for example, I think it was 2008 it was adopted, and then it was amended in 2019. But so this general plan is the first one that we've done where we had community development plans. So it really provided us a really good opportunity to understand the unique needs of the communities and to be able to uplift the things that are consistent island-wide from those plans. Okay, I don't want to take any more of your time. There will be lots more communication happening as soon as this draft is released, and I look forward to seeing you guys at future meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. If I can, I just want to make a comment on that. In 2019, when we tried to do the revision on the the CDP, Community Development Plan, there's inconsistencies between the CDP and the general plan. And I think that's where there was, a lot of hemming, hawing, and stumbling. And so I think for new AC members, when we look at the general plan and its amendments, the community development plan was developed by the community, not by the administration. And so it has ideas in there and recommendations in there that are very aspirational in some ways, but it is community input. And I think one of the challenges we've always had with the Action Committee is that in trying to meld the two documents together, because some of the wording's a little different, some of the inconsistencies permit the general plan to do one thing, CDP's kind of like recommending maybe something else. And these occur only sporadically, but they're there. That you take a look and as you review the general plan, keep a copy of the community development plan on the side too, so that you can see you can make that. And I would tell you it's a challenge, it's a lot of work, but thanks. And thanks, Bethany, for that announcement and update and taking the questions. So on the public comment, if there's nothing else, I'll go on to the public comment, just read what's here in terms of how we want to manage it. So the public may provide verbal testimony at the meeting by joining the Zoom meeting or attending in person. Please register to testify by contacting CDP at hawaiicounty.gov. Comments may be made either during the public comment portion of the agenda or just prior to the relevant business item. With discretion of the chair of the CDP Action Committee, comments may be limited to 3 minutes in length per agenda item. Written testimony may be submitted via email at cdp@hawaiicounty.gov or in person at the Hilo or Kona Planning Department up to 2 business days prior to this meeting. I just wanted to comment on the discretion of the chair. It's been kind of like my policy that if folks want to comment on the agenda, they may do so in writing or verbally at the meeting, at the beginning of the meeting on any specific agenda item. And to do that, you need to sign up. So I'm not sure if anybody signed up for today. But also, I give some leeway to when we, on the subject matter itself, if the public has something that they wish to comment on or join in on the discussion with the action committee, then I welcome that too. But we do have to keep in mind that, we're going to run the clock. We have many agenda items sometimes, some of which take a long time to discuss and some of which can go through a little quicker. But I only bring that up because I'm a strong proponent of getting as much community input as possible, and sometimes time is not on our side when we're meeting. So so just bear with me if I seem to provide too much latitude for that. So the next agenda item is the action committee, is the draft minutes, and this is going to be the approval of the, is it July 25th minutes? So everyone has the draft meeting minutes. We're gonna need a motion to approve when anybody's ready, but yeah, I know.
Uncle Charlie, we got members of the public wanting to testify on items at the moment.
Oh, okay. So let's get through the minutes first.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right.
Anybody gonna second it?
I second it.
Yes, you made the motion and John seconded.
Okay, call the question. All in favor of approving the minutes of the July 25th, 2023 Action Committee meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, hearing none, the approval, the minutes are approved. Okay, so now on the first business item, is someone wanting to speak on that first? Member of the public?
So we're doing public comment now?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, because I can't see who signed in for what agenda item, so we'll just go by agenda item. First, is there someone, or whoever signed in first? So I don't know what order you have them in.
Have the sheet.
Okay, so we're doing testimony right now, or we're going on to number one?
Yeah, he said we could either go by agenda item or based on the order of the list.
Okay, we have Janice wanting to give public comment.
Yeah, on what agenda item?
Can you hear Janice over there?
I can. I was just, the agenda item, Janice?
Thanks, Charlie. I just had a couple of things that I wanted to say. I don't have the agenda. Sorry, Agenda Miriam was showing me the agenda. I wanted to thank you about the public comment thing. I know Charlie's always been really inclusive of the public, and I think that's a really great way to go since this is, community development plan. So thank you for that. I also, I wanted to say about the amendments, GP amendments that you just mentioned. Charlie must have been reading my mind, and I wanted to put a bug in the committee's ear that maybe we want to look at those amendments and revisit them and possibly even remove some of them as they have been quite weakening to the plan. And then later I'd like to speak, if I could, to the Open Space Network, not as the chair, because Kari will do that, but just comments as public, if that's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all we have on the list for giving public comment, Uncle Charlie. We can move on to the agenda item.
Okay, so first business item then is chapter 5.3 implementation matrix. Discussion to initiate a status update of the items within the matrix. Consider top priority community actions. the AC may want to move forward and the potential creation of respective permitted interaction groups. The matrix can be found on pages 163 to 172 of the Kona CDP. So I'm assuming all the AC members read all those pages. They have copies of the action plan?
Yes.
Okay.
But,
How
I
did
mean,
this
we're all
item
able-
get on the agenda?
this was proposed by, was it Serene?
Yeah.
You
So,
want, you want?
what was your expectation? Did you just want to raise the subject, or did you think we were gonna go through them all today, or what was your?
No, it's, well, I don't know the best way to be efficient about this, but how do we know what the status is on many of these different items? For example, economic development, where are we with that? Has the watershed, Kona Malka watershed group been formed yet?
I had the same question, just wanting, as we go through it and identify things we wanna work on, just what has been
What-
done and
yeah.
what, so we can get a sense of where we could have the most impact.
Anybody have an idea on how that might be most efficient? Because we can't sit here today and go through them all, obviously.
I think
No.
part of the idea was to create a permitted interaction group to kind of take that responsibility and dive in and see how they can, what updates they can find about the matrix.
So how would we, I mean, who has the knowledge about this stuff? I mean, how would we go about figuring this out?
Yeah, that would be,
Google's not very helpful in many of these things. I've tried.
that would be probably working out with, county staff, reaching out, to the different departments listed here
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but each one has the implementer.
So, yeah, so you could reach out to the Department of Environmental Management, Department of Public Works, Parks and Rec. Yeah, that would be the way.
Okay.
I had a few questions on the land use, so I'll take that one, or is that appropriate to just say? Or establish that in this meeting, or? Like,
Charlotte?
who would take what?
What are you offering?
I was just saying, I had a lot of questions about section 4.2, so
Well,
I would
they were
take that.
suggesting that a subcommittee be
Right.
formed.
Oh, it's
Right.
subcommittee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay.
If I can interject, yeah, I think the purpose of this business agenda item is to decide whether we want to have a permitted interaction group on this specific issue, the implementation matrix. Am I understanding that correctly? Yeah. For those who have gone through that, you can see there's a substantial amount of things that the CDP calls out, which then falls to the AC to assist the county with in terms of its advisory. So there's a lot to digest there. I think in a permitted, I'm sorry, I just can't use PIG as the acronym for the thing, but permitted international interaction groups. I think there's probably plenty of work for a subcommittee on that. My I guess comment on that would be that previous action committees have sent letters to the planning director in which they expressed a priority list, and the priority list doesn't come off the matrix; it comes off of the needs within what we saw as within this, at least the Kona CDP, and affordable housing was number one on there. So if you look at it maybe by a topic, it might help you get through the matrix and say where that topic might fall. I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just saying that this is what we did the last one. So just for the sake of continuity, we may want to find that letter. I think I probably have a copy of it here somewhere, but I'd ask staff whether, because it was written to the present director, to Zendo Kern. And I think he actually provided a response to it too. So it's just a list of priorities, and it might help the new AC members just kind of chew on what the previous AC members were thinking about. With regards to forming a PIG, I would ask that we also add the climate action plan, climate change action plan to the matrix. That's a huge comprehensive plan, and it's not really called out directly in the matrix here. I don't know, whether that's even possible. I may ask Corp Counsel to help us with that. But that's a very comprehensive plan in and of itself, and it intersects everywhere with the community development plan, our priorities, and the general plan. So and I read through it. It's a good document. So I'm just proposing that we just include that in the if we're going to update the status of the matrix and
So
priorities.
Charlie, I have a question. This is Zareen.
Mhm.
So is there any, so this is the steps we would take to try and implement the plan, which we're accountable to the public for. So is there any mechanism in which we update the public? What's been done in the past? Like, how, if something has been accomplished, other than reading the newspaper, which sometimes they're very late on an issue, how would we know really what things are in, I mean, just a brainstorm? And then, I mean, I know the hospital, Nicole Lowen has started looking for grounds for a new hospital, but how do we be accountable if there's no mechanism in place to inform the public, or is there? I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with this matrix.
We've got a lot of other past members here, and I'm sure they have many. I'm going to invite them to also comment. But my thoughts are these: that the AC meets only once a month, and since COVID, we've been going every other month, and at times on a quarterly basis. It's really hard to keep the public's momentum going, when we're meeting sporadically like that. So I think one of the discussions we're going to have today is to come up with a set schedule that we can all count on and say, okay, we have a responsibility and it's going to be on such and such a date. And then we can invite the public to it. As far as I know, this meeting is a public meeting, and the public will need to attend if they want to interact with the action committee. The second option, which is the one we're trying to favor now, is to begin to create the permitted interaction groups, because they have a lot more latitude in terms of how they can meet, how they're guided or not guided by sunshine law or limited by sunshine law. So I think that's probably going to be a little bit more effective than meetings every other month in terms of inviting the public to a meeting, because the subcommittee meetings can be public as well, and they should be. But it's been really through the posting of the county, the interest in the public on the agenda items, and the ability of the action committee to stir that interest for folks to come. Otherwise, we are all free to do it as individuals, but I do not know of any standard method that any action committee has undertaken to create. It's just, that's the way it is. So I think that's open. I see your hand, Nancy.
This is Nancy. Just because it's an action in here doesn't mean that this group oversees them all. Some of them are state issues, some of them, we wouldn't have any impact on. I can understand you wanting to know where we are with all of them and whether anybody's implemented them, but my suggestion would be to go through them and to see what things potentially this group could have some influence on and focus in on those. And you can pretty much tell by looking at them which ones are, like, county council needs to come up with money or legislation needs to be approved or something that the county itself, we would have a direct influence on the outcome. What you're talking about is a comprehensive review of the whole document, which is gonna have to happen. But for things that are, like, when are we gonna have another university, to get ourselves too bogged down into trying to find out from the state whether in fact they ever do plan on building another university here, I think you have to kind of decide what's the most efficient use of energy and time for this particular body. And I think if you take the time to go through 5.3, you can see the kinds of things where we would potentially have some leverage, and those are the most important things to get updates on. That's my advice. That seems very pragmatic and practical, and obviously we'd like to know where we are in all of these. Some of them have already been implemented, like this building has been built and that road has been built, and those were both actions in here. But there are other things that, like the new hospital and a new West Hawaii university campus, it's not anything that we can do anything about. But there are many things in here we could do something about. That's all for me for now.
This is Janice. I was just wondering, we've gone through making priority lists quite a few times. So, I mean, just because there's new members, I think it's good to revisit it and add to it, but isn't there one list? We worked on it really hard. Seems like many times. So where is that information? I think to get that information and go from there, so you have like something to, a baseline, and then go off on whatever other things you want, but I think that would give you a good idea. Because, this is supposed to be a progressive thing, not just reinvent the wheel every time there's new members, right?
Right.
So I hope that there's some place where our priority list has.
The planning director letter and that prioritized list sounds like I'd like to look at that.
Mhm.
But I don't think the planning department has it. It seems like previous members,
Well, it's probably in the minutes somewhere.
as a,
Do you have about a time frame when things like that would bring to us to help me narrow in on my search?
Hard to say, no,
But I think, let me, next question, talk out of turn, Kari, Kimura, past member. I think it would be fair to just look in the minutes, right, those are official documents.
Yeah.
In it, we had letters that the chair authored that the AC approved of that got sent to the planning director. And there could be a response or sometimes not. But at least it would give you guidance, and I say, because we met so infrequently, do a 5-year look back.
Yeah.
It's not gonna take you that long. No, I'm serious, it's not gonna take you that long. Do a 5-year look back, gather up all the minutes, read through it. You will see it, and you can either decide if you're gonna go forward in it or backward in it, however you wanna do it. And
On agenda too.
correct, you look, minutes again, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
And then at least it will give you better context if you
Right.
haven't been following this committee. That would probably be a better start.
I just like to say a little plug-in right here for all the new members and the public that, all the minutes, agendas, meeting packets that are distributed for these meetings are posted online on the CDP website in our record repository. Just so that's a place to always go to and click as well.
And are there links like other boards and commissions and stuff, to the supporting documents that are for the public that were discussed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for all the,
So like the planning commission?
Yeah,
they're
yeah, all of them.
The same kind of.
The planning department has a public repository for all the different,
Thank you.
So would their priority list from the former AC members be up there?
It should be, if it, yeah, so that's a place to hunt and look
Yeah.
for them, yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments on agenda item? One? Is my sound cutting in and out?
Oh, good.
Yeah, okay.
Charlie, we can hear you clearly. It's just the people in the room. If they're not near the mic, we can't hear the people in the room.
Okay. I know you might want to, yeah, move it down or something. I don't know.
Charlie, this is Heather Karate. I'm a new member, and
Mhm.
just to make sure I'm understanding your proposal about permitted interaction group about the integrated climate action plan. So the idea would be that potentially a subcommittee of us is formed and would take the integrated climate plan and come up with some things that would be Kona specific that we want to take on in that plan for Kona, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And the thing is that the climate plan is not on the matrix, so I don't want to get caught up on the language, but it says on the matrix. That's what the permitted action, yeah.
Probably have to be a separate agenda.
To propose a subcommittee about that, yeah.
Since so it allows us, so the agenda allows us actually to create that at this meeting, otherwise it's going to be the next. And we'd have to put it on the agenda at the next one. Am I correct, Suzanne?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so AC members, so the question is before we move on, would you like to create a permitted interaction group on this item?
I don't have the time right now personally.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to. This is Heather Karate. But I need 2 actions. No? Oh,
You, one, and anybody from the community that you want to blast you into it. Or there could be more if they want to join you.
Maximum.
well, I would like to do that.
Charles, I'd like to join also.
Okay, so there are 2 folks. We would need a motion by the AC.
I move to start the PIG action committee for the interactive climate group.
Motion is to create a subcommittee for the integrated climate action plan for Kona, like with respect to Kona.
Okay, so hang on.
Oh,
This is about the matrix, reviewing the matrix of which the interactive climate plan is not on. So if my suggestion is you create add it to the matrix, I think it's what would be consistent with the agenda. Am I off base, Suzanne, or?
No, you're on base. You're trying to stick to the agenda. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't want to invalidate whatever motion we make. So including the climate, or the inactive climate plan would be admissible under this. It's not on the matrix, but.
If they look at the matrix and if that group were to determine that something in addition, some additional material needed to be considered, they would have the latitude to make that recommendation. So yes, they could still look at the matrix and find the matrix insufficient and perhaps need to reference other materials, including the climate plan. But they would actually have to look at the matrix if they say they're going to do that. Like if that's part of the focus of this group, then they still do need to look at the implementation matrix. Was that helpful?
Exactly, yeah, it's clear with me. I'm hoping it's,
Okay,
I'm sorry for the process, but it's process.
no worries. The
Yeah.
motion could be for the permitted interaction group to make recommendations with respect to implementation of the matrix and any additional needs. That any additional needs might be the climate plan.
Okay, great. Yeah, I saw the hands up there on the table. Is that you, Nancy?
My only word of caution is that remember, this is a Kona plan, and the sustainability climate action plan is an island-wide
Right.
plan. And so you have to be practical in terms of coming up with things that specifically apply to North and South Kona.
Yeah.
And not necessarily something that applies to the whole island.
Totally.
And I would think the first thing to do would be to look at the matrix and see if there's anything already in there that sort of is compatible with climate action. I mean, I already know what's in here first.
Mhm.
Before you start more committees.
Well, in this meeting, we can't, what we move to do, we can't do in this meeting, to create a subcommittee. Relevant.
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last comment. Do we have, so there's two people who would volunteer to be on that committee? And do we have a motion to create it then?
To review it? Is that what you're asking?
No, to actually create the subcommittee.
Wouldn't that have to be on an agenda item before we could vote on it?
This agenda item permits us to do that. My fear not,
What I mentioned, this is Heather again, I've looked at this, but I'd wanna, I could look at it again, and the integrated climate action plan for the island. And I would like to be on a subcommittee that would take the integrated climate action plan for the island and identify specific things for Kona.
What I'm trying to find out is, this is a whole new topic that's not on our agenda. We can't vote on it today, can we, Corp Council?
Hello, everyone. I've been posting in the chat and I've been emailing folks. Almost the only person I can hear is Charlie. So if there's been a robust discussion and questions asked, I apologize, but I can't hear them. I had just said a few minutes ago that the item that can be voted on is implementation of the matrix. If in looking at implementation of the matrix, they're also going to be considering the climate plan, because there's a need to do that, that's possible. They can't do something separate. You can't have a motion right now just for the climate plan. And I'm not sure if that's what you're discussing, so I apologize if my answer isn't clear. I honestly can't hear much of the discussion. Charlie, am I responding to the question as asked?
yes.
Okay.
So my suggestion is that we put this on the next agenda for a vote, whether we want to form a subcommittee to review the matrix with the compatibility with the island-wide climate sustainability plan.
I think if everybody's agreeable with that, we just actually don't need a motion. We can just put it on the agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, if people are willing, you know, to defer this item, that's all I was trying to do is close the item, making sure everybody understood that it has to be re-agendized if you want to come back to it. Okay, so we're good? No motion? Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next item. So it's the Kealakekua Regional Park, discussion and potential, again, creation of a permitted interaction group to follow and support this project.
Yeah, so Charlie, this is John Pelletier. So I requested to put this on here. It's actually Kalakahe Regional Park.
Yep.
This is a park I've been following for a while. I last saw in the news in 2018, they released a master plan, and we really haven't heard anything else after that. A while ago, I reached out to councilperson Inaba, and he said they're stuck at the EIS process, and that they were trying to submit a new EIS. Holeka's been talking to YPAC, who's the West Hawaii Parks and Athletic Corporation. They're the ones that are kind of advocating for this park, and they helped create the master plan. And I had also previously reached out to Bokahui, who's the president there, and he says they are waiting for the Parks Department to submit. Sorry, I said EIS, I think EIA is what I meant. And they're also looking for funding to retrofit the water treatment to irrigate the park. So I just thought, you know, this is in our agenda. It's under policy 6.2, which is active recreation opportunities, creating regional parks. And YPAC specifically lists on their website to develop Kalakahe Regional Park consistent with the Kona Community Development Kona Community Development Plan recommendations. So I just, you know, I don't know specifically what we can do to help, but I would like to create a PIG just to investigate where we're at there and try to move this project forward. I think it's, you know, it's part of the Kona Open Space Network. I saw it listed on the website. They have this big park mapped out, but there's nothing there right now. So I think it aligns with a lot of stuff, and it seems like a very specific subject that maybe we can investigate.
I think it's a good idea. It ties specifically in with one of our actions in the Kona plan, and it's something that's way overdue as far as a regional park for Kona. I mean, it was in this document. That means somebody started drafting it like in 2006, and we still don't have it. So if we, you know, if you want to share that committee and organize people to get updates and start pushing, and anybody that could be pushed, it's definitely justified.
Yeah.
Way overdue.
I think the land was set aside in the 90s, is what I found,
Yeah.
for this, yeah. So,
It
yeah,
was
it was a golf course originally,
squeaky
yeah.
wheel syndrome thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like the open space network thing. It needs somebody to grab it by the teeth and just shake it till
Yeah.
something happens.
And so I'm willing to share that, and if anyone wants to join me, that's fine. But I'm willing to take it on and kind of lead that. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say on it.
So I'll make a motion that we form a Kalakahe Regional Park subcommittee, and John can chair it.
I second.
Does anybody second the motion?
Yeah, I second.
Any discussion?
Okay, we can call for the vote. I think this one's agendized correctly too. So, all in favor of creating a permitted interaction group to follow the Kealakahe Regional Park, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Nay? Okay, hearing none, that subcommittee is created. I believe we can leave it to the subcommittee to nominate its own chair and what have you. Okay, so we go to,
It doesn't, I didn't need to make it part of the motion. The
Oh, okay.
committee itself can make their own chair.
Okay.
I think he's what he was saying. but thank you very much for coming up with this idea. It's a really good example of something that maybe this group can do something about.
For the record, could we call out who the, members of this new permitted interaction group is?
Yeah, so John Pelletier, I'll be the chair.
Is there any other AC member willing to?
We good?
Ask me about Mark lately.
Yeah.
I'll try to remember who it was.
Oh, right on.
To help them.
Okay, so there were three people, did I hear?
Sorry?
Are they, the group's been formed, and you have 3 members now?
One member,
Just one?
just me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If there's no other discussion on this agenda item, I'm gonna close it and move on to item 3. Permitted interaction group, reports. So the existing groups will provide updates, reports, or discussion, and may vote to close any, PIGs as needed. So the first was a community outreach. And you can see the footnote under it. It says open nomination. So I asked that, I think at the last meeting, my recollection was that there were new members coming in. So right now, the community outreach subcommittee probably has a lot of work it can do, just based on the upcoming rollout of the general plan. So I just wanted to open up the discussions for additional people on the subcommittee, because right now it's myself and Nancy. And we're allowed up to 4, I believe, from the action committee. Nancy, yeah.
There are a number of people on this action committee that want to be on the community outreach committee besides us. Also includes John and Heather and Zareen and Gary. And Zareen, that's not Gary, excuse me. So that's 5. So we can't have 5. So you mentioned before that you wanted to have new members be on this committee. So we have to figure out who's not going to be on there because we can't have 5.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I think at the last time that people were anxious to it, I don't mind stepping down from that subcommittee to make room for the new members, because I really want to encourage the new members to get involved at the subcommittee level, because I think there's just going to be a lot more activity at that at the subcommittee level. So I am okay with, the 5th wheel, as it's called, removing myself from that subcommittee to make room for others. So if that's are folks still inclined, the same people still inclined to be on the outreach committee?
The other, John and Zareen and Heather and Nancy all would like to be on that subcommittee.
Okay, so Suzanne, is there any particular process we need to go through to change, or is that something the subcommittee itself can just handle through its own discussion?
You do need to establish who's going to be on the committee in this meeting or in a public meeting. Once
Okay.
you establish the membership And the membership is, the only limitation for 4 is committee members. Other members of the public or the community at large can absolutely participate in the permitted interaction group, and they're not counted towards your 4. So the
Right.
only limitation of 4 is committee members, and you just need to articulate in this meeting who those 4 are.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're not hearing all of the discussion at the table. So
Sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, you're stepping down, so you're
Yep.
articulating, yeah, that you're not going to be on. And all that needs to happen is you need to state who the 4 members are, or someone needs to state that.
Okay. So knowing my position, besides Nancy, are there 3 other people who would like to state their name to be on that committee?
John Pelletier, I'd like to be on the committee.
Doreen DeRobsey, I'd like to be on the committee.
And Heather Karate.
Okay,
And
Okay,
Nancy
so-
CTO.
right. And, okay, so that comprises the 4. Okay, so that's the discussion I wanted to have with regards to open nominations. As far as anything to report on the outreach committee, I do not have anything to report, but Nancy, I don't know if you have
Well,
anything.
premature, it's just officially been formed.
Yeah, no,
It's
but
gonna
we
be a
were,
lot of- It'll be a lot of work because it's a startup committee and it's unprecedented and according to April, none of the other CDP action committees have a community outreach subcommittee. So we articulated the purpose of it when we formed the committee in the July meeting, which was the line in chapter 16 that talked about community outreach. If you remember, we lifted that sentence right out of chapter 16 as far as getting the public aware of the community plan and building partnerships, with the community regarding implementation of the CDPs. It's a big job.
Yeah.
If we can do any of it, I'll be very happy.
yeah, great. And I think that goes to the question earlier of, what is the process for getting the public involved and making sure that we're covering the important things. So good. Are there any other discussion on that subtitle? If not, sorry, let me
Jenny
look
has
here.
something. Okay.
Yes.
Charlie, I just wanted to add one thing, I think there was an outreach committee, Nancy, because I remember Matt Binder, when his short stint before he moved away, and the cautionary tale, and maybe this can help for the future, is that when, they were trying to do some stuff with the newspaper and video on television and stuff, the process through the county was tricky. And so they ended up not being able to do it. So I don't know if now things are different, but it was a really great idea. They had some really good media outreach stuff, and once again, it was a long time ago, but, I think to work with the planning department to make sure what can be done, and to get them on board, because otherwise, you just don't want to do a lot of work that you can't actually use, so,
Thank you. Is there another hand up there?
Yeah, I'm good. The commission I serve on with the county, the department that I'm, police department, we have a community outreach officer, and I think rather than forming a community outreach, and you guys here, the planning department really should have a community outreach person or officer. You're shaking your head like,
she's laughing.
I got too many other things to do. But these are the realities, and don't have the help. If you don't have the people power to do it, then you need to start making some noise to your council person. I'm not naive. I know how it works. Throw mudging or anything, but it works. We're on our community outreach person with the police department. We remind that person or those people, and we've been successful. getting pretty good community outreach because this department is assumed, they've had it for a while, but you gotta stay on them to do it. And, we're filling cars with gifts and food and things like that. That's part of community outreach. Getting the community involved in matters of law enforcement and so forth. And so should also the planning department. It's extremely important. Right now I'm listening and things sound pretty doggone disjointed. It's not a criticism of those of you who work with the department, but it's disjointed.
This is Janice, I just wanted to say that these guys are doing the, kind of what you're saying. I mean, we're part of the planning department in a certain way, and, I mean, to get as much help as they can when the funding and the manpower isn't possible is probably the only way we'll ever see the CDP implemented at all.
Sure.
I mean, I hate to, I'm just, in the reality, there's only so much the planning department can do on their own, and they're volunteering.
If you read chapter 16 that describes the CDPs, the outreach is a function of this committee by ordinance. So it's not something we're imagining, it's something that's in chapter 16 of the, code, and it's something that this committee is supposed to have been doing all along. And, because any action in this plan needs partners. So these people don't have the ability to implement all of these things. So a lot of it's outreach, like John wants to outreach to try to find out, and that takes partnership building and relationship building, and that not enough of that has been done by this committee, even though that's part of their job description.
I'm involved in and stuff. There's an emphasis.
I could speak a little louder
Yeah.
than myself.
There's an emphasis on neighborhood watch groups, and that is definitely community outreach.
Ours has to do with
Does the
stuff
planning-
that's in this document.
Does the planning department do the words, neighborhood watch ever? No, and it should.
That's another issue that's not on our agenda.
Yes, it is. Aren't we talking about that right now?
Neighborhood watch is another subject.
It's a title, but it's a part of the bigger picture of community outreach, and that's what we're talking about now.
But it's not something that's in the Kona CDP.
That's one of many things.
Yes. Every department has many things.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble listening to the conversation in its entirety. I think I got the gist though. So, can we move on?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the next item was the flood mitigation and erosion control subcommittee. And
Charlie, is there anybody on this committee that is on that committee?
No. So I don't think we're gonna have any report on that.
So it might
Susanna-
be
Susanna,
something
how
that will
do,
eliminate.
I think we've lost all the AC members who were part of that subcommittee.